Good evening and welcome to Bugajski Hour. I'm happy to be back again in Tirana to examine important global and local developments that affect the lives of all Albanians. I will be discussing some pivotal political questions with a major national personality and reviewing important topics with our studio audience. And our guest today on the Bugajski hot seat is Albania's Prime Minister Edi Rama. But first, my political commentary on an important international topic is entitled Communism's Fading Memories. A quarter of a century after the fall of the Berlin Wall, public memories of the communist system are fading, and they are breeding nostalgia and, in some cases, delusions. To dispel any fantasies about the past, during key anniversaries, it is worth remembering the core features of totalitarianism. Communism was a system of minority rule, where the mass of the public was disenfranchised. A self-appointed clique declared its vanguard role while stifling political competition. Communism trapped society in a straitjacket of conformity, and the entire structure was based on deception and the constant threat of repression. Communism created an illusion of economic and national development, with a millenarian message about the coming promised land. But decades of social engineering failed to produce a modern society with an internationally competitive economy. State-sponsored social mobilization created a facade of economic progress. In reality, communism could not compete with dynamic international capitalism. And as with all nostalgia, a few facts are mixed in with the prevailing fictions about the communist past. Some of the older generation may recall cradle-to-grave state protection, even though living standards were often stagnant. Others yearn for predictability and order and mythologize about the past. There is also a segment of any society that could be described as political masochists. They would back an authoritarian state to control their lives while claiming to lead the nation to glory. One can add to this the incompleteness of decommunization and inadequate historical education in much of post-communist Europe. Furthermore, democracy is often perceived as chaotic and even anarchic, especially where there is dissatisfaction with all current political parties. Some politicians in the region exploit these sentiments to promote authoritarianism and nationalism. However, they only provide a false sense of social security, economic stability, and national development. It is time for the Bugajski hot seat with our special guest, Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama. Thank you again for being on the show, for joining me again this evening.
Thank you for the invitation.
I have quite a few questions, but let me begin with a big picture, Edi. At a recent summit in Sweden, you spoke about changing Albania, returning the government to its citizens. Can you explain specifically what changes you have in mind and, of course, what your government has managed to accomplish in the past 18 months?
I just had to write a speech about our foreign policy in the occasion of the annual meeting with the ambassadors, and I was really impressed myself with how many things we have succeeded to tackle in the Arch of the Year, and also how many reforms we have undertaken. Mm-hmm. And I would give you a very simple example. We are since 20 years in a tunnel which has become darker and darker of energy debt. So we are among the most the richest countries in terms of energy potential, development potential, and we are a country that is suffering more or less 6.3% of our own GDP in the form of a debt towards the energy sector because of the theft. So turning back to the citizens, their own government is engaged in the government to create the conditions for everyone to be equal in front of in front of the obligation to pay the contributions. So it's over that some had to pay also for others, and everyone has to pay the share of contribution that has so.
Because one of the questions, of course, which I've come across since being back in Tirana is the question of energy prices. There's been a lot of theft, illicit tapping into electricity power lines and so forth. People haven't been paying their bills. Of course, every state has to be based on the rule of law, on sound institutions and so forth. So what do you tell the citizens in terms of in terms of them paying for the services and goods that they receive? Is this a problem that you see in society?
No, there is a very high expectation, but at the same time very strong support for this operation and for other operations, because people are fed up to be treated like stupid and to pay their own contributions in the meantime that others are stealing energy, are occupying public spaces and building illegally, are having their own easy life on the back of the honest and correct people of the country. So we cannot afford anymore to lose every year, I give you an example, an amount of money that instead of going in investment is going to keep going and to survive the theft in a sum that is equal to what we get from all the companies in the form of their income tax. It's absolutely unbearable, and it has to end.
So revenue revenue collection is a very important part of government function. Is there a problem in other areas?
We have increased dramatically the revenues from tax and customs, and we have created a totally new environment for business. On one hand, by telling them who were used to not pay that the game is over, and on the other hand, by treating everyone fairly. So I was very proud to see that we paid back $260 million, the first portion of the arrears that we inherited from the previous government, and the audit of the IMF not only didn't raise any red flag for the procedure, but didn't find any kind of breach within the procedure. And this is very new for the country, a country where people were obliged to pay to pay bribes to get back half of their VAT reimbursement.
What about the poorest sectors of society, people that haven't been paying their bills, electric bills, which they should have, of course, but they cannot afford?
This is a myth. The most reliable clients of the company are the pensioners, who are at the same time the most vulnerable part of the society. 98% of the pensioners pay the energy. 93% of the disabled pay the energy. So there is no excuse. This is cultural, because at the same time no one is going in the bakery and saying, I am hungry, I cannot survive without having my piece of bread, so I'm taking it, but I have no money to pay. So this is just about missing rule of law and missing a sense of the state, and also missing a state that has not served the people, but has served only vested interests.
What are your projections for costs of energy, particularly for customers, for business, and so on? Because now the oil prices are low. You have gasification.
We are still under the cost, but this is not the main task. The main task is to put everyone in line and to make sure that everyone pays the energy. Because we can't raise tariffs to make them who pay more, in the meantime that others don't pay. So what we have done is to have decided to remove the block of 300 kilowatts, which was invented for the protection of the poor, but which has become the protection of the thieves. So them who are pensioners, lonely pensioners, them who are disabled, or them who are in the scheme of economic aid, will have money in their pocket. We have devoted 16 million to this, to pay the difference, so they will not feel
like a safety net of some kind.
Anything from the takeoff of the block. The others have to pay the medium, the average medium price. So practically, we have refused to have a uniform increase of price, because we believe that first of all we have to do this. And I'm very confident that if everyone will pay, we'll be ready to invest much more in the system, and in the next 3 years we'll be ready also to relief from the VAT.
VAT has gone up recently, right?
No.
Is it planned to go up, or is
No.
it planned to go down?
No, we haven't touched the VAT, but VAT of energy is our objective to be reduced, but we are far from it until we first collect.
In a sort of bigger picture, what are the projections now for economic growth in our
We are very encouraged, because although the objectives we have decided to, together with IMF, to have for this year were very ambitious, they are all met. So we will be around 2.1, 2.3%. Next year we have a projection of 3%, but I'm not at all happy with this kind of rhythm. So I strongly believe that with more new foreign direct investments and with a more vibrant society and less corruption and chaos, we will be able to grow more.
And in terms of corruption, particularly high-level corruption, extensive corruption, is that something that's been tackled by your government?
The government has to tackle corruption first and foremost by modernization, because I don't believe one second that tackling corruption has to do anything with purges that then are transformed in witch hunting. I strongly believe that government has to modernize. The judiciary has to punish. So we are so far punishing wherever we see we see corruption appearing, but what we want is to have a full spectrum modernization. And at the same time, we have to start the judiciary reform, or let's say the final phase of the judiciary reform, because we have already prepared for it. And I'm absolutely convinced that we'll need to be very bold on that, and we are very, very prepared to be so.
What will it mean, the final phase? New judges coming in?
No, final phase would mean to start now and transform in new legislation, the vision and the program of different systems. So, and then, of course, changes of people will add to it.
So there's a new generation of lawyers and attorneys and judges.
Well, I have always believed, and I continue to believe, and I think we more and more prove by our own experience that it's not the people that corrupt systems, but the system that corrupt people if it's not a good system. So we have to build good systems, and then, of course, the quality of people serving will rise.
Tell me one of the questions which you mentioned earlier, which was removing buildings that were built illicitly without permits and so on. Why is this so important, would you say, for the
Well, it's very important
society?
because they are suffocating communities. They are making possible the life of people, and they are making possible the renewal and the renaissance of the sense of community of the urban space. So it's a rule of law. It's fair share of common space, and it's a responsibility towards our own community.
I presume there's also health and safety, environmental questions involved as well.
Of course, but first of all, yeah, you can add to it, but first of all is to give an end to a long story of lack of respect for the rules and lack of consideration that the others also have their share of rights in the space we share altogether.
Mm-hmm. In terms of going back to the economy again, in terms of unemployment rate, where does it stand now? Do you see improvements?
We see big improvements. We see that on one hand we have a big increase of the number of people that are registered in the Social Security books, so 81,375, if I'm not wrong. And just in the last hours, the Instat survey on the active workforce were published, and it's huge. It's 78,500 something new people in jobs. So this is a really big achievement.
In which sectors in particular?
It's agriculture. It's processing industry. It's services. In the processing industry, we have done great. We have 22% of increase.
Food processing, you're saying?
No, manufacturing.
Oh, manufacturing. Okay.
And we should do more in tourism. Mm-hmm. We should do more in the processing industry in terms of processing minerals and natural resources. This is the goal.
Is this mostly new investors from outside or Albanian entrepreneurs?
It's connected also with a raise of production in agriculture and a raise of exports. And it's both, but I believe that it's also formalization of work.
Mm. Changing the subject a little bit from the economy, the president has nominated a new central bank governor after the scandals, as you know, linked with the previous governor. Are you planning to approve his choice anytime soon?
I would ask your permission to not comment on this.
That's fine. Let me ask you another question then. I presume your relations with the President are fine at this point.
We're building on it, and I'm confident that we'll be able to establish a new culture of cooperation among the president that is elected by one side and the prime minister that is elected by the other side. And also, I would say, having the advantage to have a chairman of parliament who is one of the two leaders of the governing majority, but was also the skill of being a good appeaser. So I think we can build up.
You can work together, basically.
Yeah, I'm confident. We are trying hard to do so. It's not easy, but so far, at least, we are happy that the time that the president was attacked viciously or less viciously from the prime minister conference room is over.
Because one of the stipulations, or let's say requirements of the European Union, I remember for many years, was that there would be some cooperation, that parties wouldn't boycott Parliament, and you have a situation now, the Democratic Party has been boycotting the Parliament for several months. How do you address that question?
Unfortunately, we are living with life experience of this famous say that history repeats itself in a farce after having
first time as tragedy, second time as farce,
developed as tragedy. Yeah. So this is the comical part of it. But I very much hope that this also will change, because the alibis of the opposition are not there anymore. We have met their requests, although, you know, okay, I'm not commenting on that, but we have met their requests, so I don't know what they do around and why they are not in their working place.
Are there any requests or requirements from the European Union on this question?
No. This is all myth. Of course, in the European Parliament, we have friends. Both sides have friends. Good friends of Albania, people that have been willing to understand and help, but everything has been done here based on our very strong will as a majority to reach out and to not be reluctant and to not be stubbornly refusing what the opposition is talking about and is asking, although the requests were quite funny.
But you made some concessions. You made
everything. And we'll do it every time, anytime, as far as it's about the rules of the game. They want to speak more than us in Parliament? Welcome, they can do it. Because it's not about how long you speak, it's about what you speak about. So speaking more, they are not helping themselves, but they want it, they are welcome.
Do you think there's a prospect, potential prospect, you have local elections next year, that there could be an opposition Democratic Party boycott of the elections?
No, I don't believe so, but even if this will be a case, the elections will happen, and we'll win them with the very strong support of people, as they will win them with the Democratic Party running, and I'm sure they'll run the elections, because it would be suicidal to avoid to participate in elections.
Regardless of the reforms, the territorial, the administrative reforms?
The territorial reform is a historical reform. Everyone wanted it. Since years, every party wished to have it, to make it. We had not only the will, but also the votes, and they didn't participate, unfortunately. And we did it, so I'm very happy for it. It's historical.
Let me ask you a historical question before we turn to foreign policy, where you've been extremely active. That's what I really want to get into. This year, Europe celebrates the 25th anniversary of the fall of communism. Of course, Albania was a little bit later. And I've been doing conferences in Poland, in Bulgaria, and other places talking on this question, what this 25 years means. Your government has come under criticism for, paradoxically, opening a bunker or this underground shelter for communist leaders that I think was designed, I haven't been there yet, I'd like to visit, but was designed to protect them in case of some kind of an attack, however paranoid they were about a foreign attack.
An atomic attack.
Sorry? Atomic attack, yeah. But these accusations that somehow you're honoring communism or building a memorial, opening a memorial to communism, how would you answer that charge?
But this is a criticism coming from totally ignorant and stupid people, so I don't even answer. I feel pity for them, but I think the response of people has been fantastic, and the response of the international community has been fantastic, and we were in all news around the world, and I don't think even Japan news would be interested to it if we were honoring communism.
Well, let me ask you sort of the reverse question. I mean, I completely agree with you on this, opening museums and memorials to the past.
But it's not a museum, it's a space, where you should go and see it. It's a space where they thought they could resist an atomic attack, and it's grotesque, and at the same time, it's a space where all of us, but first and foremost the young generation, has a possibility to travel throughout the memory and to have a better understanding through its own perception of what Albania under communism has been about.
Well, this is the question I have. Do you think people are sufficiently educated in terms of the past? I mean, we've had a whole new generation grow up since the fall of communism.
The young generation cannot have a deep understanding of it based on the idiotic propaganda against communism, which is totally stupid way to tackle it. And we need to tell them, and we need to give them the right sense of what it was. Because we should make sure that nobody will forget about this horror, and that the society should be immune from the temptation to reconnect with this horror through charlatans or false prophets.
We'll stop now for a few ads. Is there any nostalgia creeping in here? Because I've noticed this in places like Bulgaria, for example.
No, here it's not, but we are not immune from it, and we should fight it. And what the stupid, ignorant people that are accusing us do not understand is that you cannot fight it by hiding it. You fight it by washing it in face.
Exhibitions, museums,
and
education.
letting people have their own perception of it, not just being tutorial about people. Sure. And trying to convince people through your own stupid propaganda.
Okay, let us go on to foreign policy, current questions, important current questions. You've been very active in the past few months. In fact, you often grab the headlines around Europe. Let me start with the historic visit to Belgrade, your visit to Belgrade. This drone incident at the football match, do you think that was just a blip? Was it a distraction? Or would you say that there are still some sensitive, unresolved issues between Albanians and Serbs?
No, the drone was like this litmus test. It happened like every stupid thing can happen in a football game, and it turned in a big worldwide drama based on the fuel from Belgrade, which is ridiculous, totally ridiculous. And it's, in the same time, dramatic, tragic to see how this flying object could drive crazy country and could drive then mad a world. So it's absolutely a litmus test of how much mistrust and how much empty space there is, vacuum from history between us.
So how are you filling that space? I mean, what concretely are you accomplishing?
Step by step, but I think we already moved on, and we have done a good job, very good job, and I'm very confident. I'm very confident that if we are patient and in the same time very, very firm as Albanians, we can build on a very important strategic communication and also partnership with Serbia, assuming that Serbia is not our enemy, but it's our neighbor that can be a very important asset for the future and for our national interests. Because we as Albanians have never been in such a good place. And we have to understand their difficulty to accept the reality and to accept that things have changed once and forever, and Kosovo is over, and the Albanians are something else today and are not the second-hand category of people they were used to see and to treat. So we have to do something great out of this boost of the Albanian factor in the region, and we should absolutely keep high the flag of peace and keep going on the dialogue, because we have to be very careful to not fall in any nationalist temptation out of being strong today. And at the same time, we have to show that we have to give a totally different example that the region is used to. And by doing so, to strengthen very much the Albanian nation, but also to strengthen the position of the Balkans vis-à-vis the European Union. Because on the same time, we have a common destiny, but we have also a common problem. We are seen by the Europeans, by the old Europeans, a bit like, them, the Balkan people, the troublemakers, the immature fighters. So we have to deal with it, and we have to overcome it, showing really totally unexpected maturity and grandeur as Europeans.
Does the government in Belgrade believe the same as you do?
They have difficulties, and we have to understand them. They have difficulties. But in the same time, we have to help them by telling them, as I did in Belgrade, that, we are here. Serbia will not disappear tomorrow, and Albania will not disappear tomorrow, and Serbs will be there tomorrow, and Albanians will be there tomorrow. But so they have to assume it. It's over. It's over.
In terms of Kosovo, recognizing Kosovo,
it's over. With the Albanians, they have to build a totally new relation. But we have to help them. We have to help them because we are in a better position than they are in this relation.
Can you work in tandem in terms of EU integration?
This is what we should work hard to get. If we get there, we'll have a big profit by being forces of peace and of cooperation, not forces of that always let behind doubts.
As I've said before, the Visegrad Group countries helped each other to gain membership of both EU and NATO.
I strongly believe that we can go there. It's just a matter of time. But faster we go, better will be for everyone.
And in the short term, I believe you've arranged ease of travel, or it's coming, between Serbia and Albania. People can travel more freely without
Yeah. We have
documents.
got some agreements, and now we are working on this German-French model of exchanges of youth, with the help of the German side and the Chancellor. But it's important that we don't let history overwhelm our young generation.
Also, I think a road system, road linking.
Yeah, there are different projects, but we have to be very, very credible in this cooperation and this partnership to get there.
I'm just wondering, would the road go through Pristina?
This is out of doubt that we have engaged in a very important partnership with Kosovo, and it's unavoidable that we act both like Albania and also like Albanians together. So this is unavoidable. But we should work it in a way that nobody gets nervous about it.
One more question about Serbia. As you know, Serbia chairs the OSCE starting from 1st of January.
We will support them very strongly. We are. It's a good thing because it's an important organization, and we very much hope that they'll do something good about it also in the region.
But there's one question that may be a problem. If Serbia supports the Russian position over Ukraine, what will Albania do at this point?
I think their relation with Russia is part of this schizophrenia, being among their European destination and their history that does not allow us to recognize the loss of, as they say, Kosovo Metohija. When they say Kosovo Metohija, it's like you are listening ghosts from the 19th century. So, and Russia is in a pitch exactly because this schizophrenia needs Russia. But once this is over, I'm sure that the future of Serbia will be brightly European.
So they've made the European choice because this.
They have made the European choice, so and there is no way back because their public opinion support this, and their young generation is very much in support of Europe. So, you know, playing around this Russian game is just temporary, understandable but temporary.
I spent a few days in Zagreb, in Croatia, last week, and the relationship there has deteriorated since the release, as you know, of the indicted war criminal Šešelj, who's made all sorts of statements about Vukovar, about Bosnia, and so forth. Is there anything there that you think the Serbian government should do about his release?
Croats have been very clear and very good-willing to deal with the past, and look where they are. You know, a shining example for all of us, members of the European Union. Serbs have not been nor clear and either very honest with their own self vis-à-vis their own past. And look where they are. So, of course, there are many things they can do, but it would be too much to ask them to do all these things at the same time, because I try to understand them, you know. They have grown with the idea that they were the big guys of the region. And today they are one guy among all the other guys.
Yeah, it's a very important point. Will the Prime Minister Vučić, be coming to Tirana, and if so, when?
I've invited him, and I'll be very pleased to see him here, and I very much hope that this will happen next year.
Next year? Nothing scheduled? No,
no, nothing scheduled, but I very much hope that he will come, and I'm going to see him again in a few days because
I was going to ask you the Chinese summit.
The Chinese summit happening in Belgrade, and
so twice in Belgrade in 2 months.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question about Kosovo. Kosovo finally has a government after several months' delay after the elections. What is now on the agenda between Tirana and Pristina? What are the priority questions, priority issues?
No, after the heroic era of fighting for freedom and democracy, now they are in prosaic era of forming governments, and they have to deal with what a very young, fragile democracy takes. So many people felt nervous or felt stupefied, but it's normal. So they did something that we have seen happening even in Belgium. So it's a boring part of
They did something very
democracy.
important in politics. They compromised.
So they compromised, and they have a government with two leaders. They have a majority with two leaders, and in my experience, a majority with two leaders works very well and helps to always find the balance. And I very much hope that it will work in Pristina as is working in Tirana.
And in terms of what's on the agenda between Tirana and Pristina?
We are very eager to go on with this project of rapprochement. We have many started programs, unification of education text in all pre-university system. We have unification of customs. We have many other things in terms of economic cooperation. We have a unified platform on tourism and culture, so many things.
And you have these intergovernmental meetings as well. That's
we are
gonna
hoping
continue.
to have it in Tirana because we didn't have it last time because they had elections.
So that's coming next
I
year.
very much hope.
Let me turn to the Berlin summit, the Berlin summit on the Western Balkans that was organized obviously by the Germans. What is the significance of this Berlin initiative? In other words, are there going to be some concrete joint projects?
It's a great idea.
Is the money coming
It's a
in?
great idea, and I hope that it will be implemented better than EU is implemented as a very great idea. So the idea is that in the meantime that countries in the region have to face their own crucible of European integration, Europe should not wait and see, but should be active in supporting regional cooperation. So, and people should on one hand see that integration has its own costs, but at the same time see that we are near because things are happening, like infrastructure project, like energy project, like other exchanges that need additional financing, and hopefully this financing will come from Europe. We'll see.
So you can help yourselves by helping each other in joint projects, presumably, towards integration.
We should help ourselves in terms of the homework, and Europe should help all of us in terms of regional cooperation.
So what are the next steps for Albania's progress towards EU? You have candidate status now. When are talks likely to begin on accession?
I think Albania is ready to open negotiation today. But at the same time, as we as Albanians are in our best time in the region, so Albanians in Albania, Albanians in Kosovo, Macedonia, and even Serbia have never been in the situation they are today, although there are many other things to be improved. Europe is in the worst time since its birth. So, I mean, the Union. So it's a matter of common will. So it's a tango that takes two.
Do you have an advocate in the European Union? Is there a country specifically that supports you as Croatia?
I was very happy a few days ago with the Dutch Parliament having a discussion about what happened this year. They have this annual discussion at the end of the year, and what should be next. And they had very good considerations about Albania and Albania's bold improvements this year vis-à-vis European integration.
You've developed personally, I believe, a good relationship, good working relationship with Chancellor Merkel. Presumably that will give a boost to your accession prospects over the coming years.
We are very much hoping that she'll be in Tirana around the end of the next semester, and it'll be another very important appointment with this history of integration.
What about other leaders in the European Union? You've had a lot of trips, I believe.
No, but we have good support. We had great support from President Hollande. We have great support from Matteo Renzi, who is a very good friend, and I hope to see him here in the next days. We had immense support from the Pope himself, although
he's not part of the European Union.
He's not part of the European Union, but the support was great, and big support from Austria, Northern Europe in general. So
And
we couldn't expect to have big support from the United Kingdom, but it was fine.
And President Donald Tusk, who is now the new Polish president of the European Union, presumably that's an important relationship as well.
Very important relation, and very big respect for this guy. I met him. We had already fixed his visit in Tirana. Would be the first Polish prime minister visiting Tirana, but then he had
something else came.
He had to move on. So
when is he going to come as president here?
It will take time, I think. But as prime minister, we had already a date, and
well, Poland has elections next year. You can invite the next prime minister. So. Well, let me turn from the EU, because this is a process, it's a long process, to NATO. The NATO summit in Wales. What do you think the results were? What did it mean for countries such as Albania? Do you see NATO coming back to fulfill its core mission, which is defense of the continent? Defense of the alliance rather than out-of-area missions?
NATO is another great thing, you know, and is another great achievement of the democratic world. But in the same time, challenges are becoming more and more complicated, and Ukraine and Crimea and South Ukraine is a very big challenge, very, very big, immense.
It's a huge area, obviously, in a huge topic, let's say, in Washington. You know, the Senate is in the middle of a debate on arming the Ukrainian military, self-defense, and so on. What is your view, not so much even on Russia, Ukraine, but on Russian activities in the Balkans? Because we hear, even Chancellor Merkel said a few days ago that she's concerned about Russian subversion activities, corrupt activities here in the region. What is your view?
My view is that once this ghost of Kosovo Metohija will disappear, the Russian influence will be diminished dramatically in the Balkans. But at the same time, we have to see very carefully the potential danger of the extremist Islam in the Balkans, which can somewhere, in a way, melt with this Russian influence. So I think that's why Europe needs the Balkans today as much as the Balkans need Europe. It's a matter of security, and it's a matter of increasing the circle of protection for a European Union that is showing itself very weak lately.
Because as you know, I don't think Russia plans to regain a sphere of influence here, but if they can act as a spoiler for NATO and EU enlargement, promote nationalism, promote corruption, that in a way is a success for them. Do you see this as a danger?
Everything is connected with Europe. If their so-called enlargement fatigue will not reflect in a patience fatigue in the Balkans, we are well set. If this will happen, then every scenario is open, every scenario.
And assuming there's no new economic crisis or financial crisis in the European Union, because that usually leads to that so-called fatigue.
But I don't think that this is an excuse. I don't think these things are connected. I don't think even that there is a rationale behind it beyond the rationale of surviving politically the waves of nationalisms and of anti-European moods, which are practically more and more dangerous if the reaction towards them is timid.
Well, you know, one of the big questions recently was the cancellation of South Stream, this gas pipeline project that Russia had, which would have served through the Balkans to Central Europe. What impact is this going to have? Is this going to lessen Russian influence in the region, you think?
But frankly speaking, I never believed in this South Stream because I didn't see where was the interest and how was possible to finance it, even in better times. But to us, this is for us is good news, frankly.
Because it strengthens the role of TAP, presumably?
Not only that, but you know, even more than that. You know, we see it with pleasure.
There's more diversification, energy diversification.
We see it with pleasure, yeah, because it's, yeah.
Let me ask another country that's been active in the region, in many ways a more friendly country, Turkey. How do you see Turkey's role? The question I asked your foreign ministers, is Turkey a partner or a model for Albania?
No, it's a partner. It's a partner. It's a partner, and of course we have many things to learn from Turkey because they have been where we are in terms of problems of state organization, of many things, but it's an important strategic partner for us, yes.
But in terms of its political structure, it does not apply to Albania?
It's different. It's quite different from us.
But Turkish influence in general, cultural, economic, you see this as positive, presumably?
I would like to see more in terms of economy, yeah. I'd like to see more.
In terms of investment and so on?
Yeah.
Well, one of the potential investors, I suppose, here in the region is China. And you mentioned the summit in Belgrade coming up in a few days' time. You visited Beijing as well a little while ago. What's your sense? Is China coming in big into the region? Are they going to invest?
They have huge plans for the Central Eastern Europe, and they have devoted a lot of money. They are somehow slower than the pace of 4 years of mandate in a democratic system, because they don't think for the next 4 years, they think for the next 100 years, and so they have this luxury. Yeah, they are quite active, more and more.
And how specifically do you think Albania will benefit from investment?
We have several projects on talk, and we'll see.
In which sectors? In manufacturing?
Infrastructure, energy, minerals, and even agriculture. So we'll see.
Another big investor that's coming into the region now, with particularly on the energy side, but also other sectors, is Azerbaijan. How do you see that connect?
We will be receiving President Aliyev in the beginning of the year, And we are very happy, pleased with it, because it means that it's not just about TAB, it's about a bilateral cooperation. We need to build about Albania and Azerbaijan, or as they were called, Albania of the Caucasus.
Yeah, right. And I think they're going to come under more pressure from Russia, but that's a different issue that won't concern Albania. But I think the more investment here, more connections with Azerbaijan, the better for...
We want it.
Question, because you mentioned earlier about Islamic radicalism. Albania was one of the first to join the coalition against ISIL. Is there a danger, some people appear to be afraid, danger that terrorism will come to Albania as a result of this, Albanian support for the anti-ISIL?
This danger is everywhere today. So this is like Ebola, you know. But at the same time, we don't have a particular danger, but we have a particular vulnerability in this region, because we have a beyond the borders Muslim community, and we have a very pro-European Muslim community, very pro-NATO, very European, and in the same time, as I was saying, you know, it will very much depend from Europe how things may develop in that front, because if people start to think and then believe that Europe does not want us because we're Muslims, things can get really hot.
So the message is Europe, keep up the pace of integrating us, help us.
Speed up.
Yeah.
Not keep up, but speed up.
Speed up the pace.
They are in a period that they are having a hard time to walk, not to run.
I gather that there's some talk of establishing an anti-terrorism regional center in the Balkans. Are you involved in this? Is the
we started to have. We started with our own structure, and but as terrorism is more and more about interconnected people, we need to have more and more interconnected structures, systems, agencies.
So Albania could host something like this, or some component?
I don't know, but for the moment I can say that we have set up a structure on our own, which we want to have to put a lot of attention and to transform in a very efficient elite structure.
Because you know, several countries have recently established these NATO excellence centers. Estonia with cybersecurity, Lithuania with energy, most recently Latvia with strategic communication. Any plans for Albania to follow suit in some capacity?
We have some ideas and wishes, but for the moment nothing concrete.
Because I think that will get Albania on the map, certainly. In terms
We're trying.
My very last question concerns relations with the United States. As you know, the new U.S. ambassador has been delayed. He's finally coming, I believe, in January in the new year. What will be your main message to him, other than where have you been for the past year? What will be your main message to him in terms of Albanian-American relations in the future?
No, my main message would be, to me, would be just have a look on your predecessors' memories, and you are very well set.
So there's nothing specifically on the agenda at this point that you envisage? So more of the same we can expect in terms of Albanian-American relations?
Absolutely more of the same in terms of Albanian-American relations, but not anymore the same in the first 6 months of the ambassador.
First 6 months of
the ambassador. So.
Okay, well, look forward to it. And Edi Rama, Prime Minister of Albania, thank you very much for joining me on the show, and love to have you back in the future. And good luck on behalf of the Albanian people and the Albanian state in your important work, both here but also
thank you very much.
Foreign policy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll stop now for a few ads. My second commentary today on an important regional topic is entitled Pan-Turkism Rising. Pan-Turkism can gain momentum in Eurasia,
An estimated 300 million Turkic peoples inhabit a vast area between the Mediterranean Sea and Central Asia. They include the majority populations in several states that emerged from the Soviet Union 25 years ago. Some may be amenable to Turkish influence for various reasons, as a shield against Russia's re-imperialization, as a buffer against growing Chinese influence, and as a link with the NATO alliance, of which Turkey is a member. Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan are encouraging Turkish investment and cultural influences to balance the two large predator states, Russia and China. Nonetheless, they remain on guard against Islamist influences in their political structures. The post-Soviet societies are secular, and their autocratic governments do not favor Turkey's political model, even though they seek to benefit from its economic support. However, some rising elites may increasingly view Turkey's political Islam as applicable in their own countries once the older leaders leave the political scene. Pan-Turkism is also growing in Russia, which has about 20 million Turkic Muslims. China also contains 40 million Turkic Uyghurs with an embryonic independence movement. Rafiz Kashapov, leader of a Russian Tatar group, recently moved to Ankara to organize a pan-Turkic movement. He has highlighted discrimination against Turkic peoples inside Russia, despite the fact that Tatars form the second largest nationality in the country. The condition of Crimean Tatars annexed by Russia from Ukraine has compounded this problem. Kashapov has cited Mustafa Kemal Atatürk's statement a half-century ago that Turkic peoples must be prepared to unite. In response to such statements, Iranian and Russian officials accused Turkey of threatening the territorial integrity of nearby states. Both Russia and Iran view Turkey as a close US ally that is undermining their influence in the Caspian region. In reality, Pan-Turkism could expand its influences in Eurasia regardless of US policies. It is stimulated by Turkey's economic dynamism and increasing regional outreach. While empire building by Ankara is not feasible, the creation of a Turkic-led economic union or security umbrella should not be underestimated. It is time now to involve our studio audience for a discussion about politics and world affairs. What is on the minds of Albanian citizens? And today we have students from the Albanian Mediterranean University. Welcome to the show.
Pyetja ime është kohëve të fundit janë prisur shumë ndërtesa në Shqipëri dhe jam kurioz të di çfarë do ndodh me ato hapësira që janë krijuar nga ndërtesat e prisura.
Yeah, you mean buildings that have been taken down because people didn't have permits or planning permission to build them. Well, this has been a problem in several countries that are emerging from a previous system where law and order isn't yet properly enforced and property rights and so on and so forth. Presumably, the land on which the buildings were taken down belongs to someone, or there is a proper has to be a proper registration of who it belongs to. So I presume the next step, again, I'm not privy to all the inside information, is that either it will be sold to somebody who can build and get a permit, a proper legal permit, or the owner will get a permit themselves and build something on it. It's very important in any democracy to have the rule of law. In other words, if you're going to build something in a public area, which a city is, you need permission. You need permission from local government, you need inspections, you need environmental, health and other kinds of permits. So I think it's perfectly reasonable for a government to want people to register their property and register their land, register any buildings they want. We have the same question in America. In order to build something, you need a permit, you need a license, you need environmental passage, you need health inspection, sanitary inspection, utility inspection, and so on and so forth, to make sure it's a safe property and to make sure it doesn't endanger the lives or wherewithal or the safety of other people, other inhabitants in your block and in your city. Please, who's next?
Përshëndetje, pyetja ime ka të bëjë me guvernatorin e bankës. Mendoni se një guvernator më i mirë për bankën e Shqipërisë do ishte një guvernator i huaj se sa shqiptar?
I don't necessarily think the ethnicity or the citizenship of the bank governor matters as long as the person, whether male or female, is competent, has the experience, is honest, understands the importance of the role they're playing in Albania's financial structure, financial system. So again, I wouldn't say ethnicity is important, and it's a good idea for Albania to go for its own citizens, not to have foreigners necessarily controlling or having a large say in internal matters such as the financial system, such as the banking system. Please, who else?
Pyetja ime ka të bëjë me rritjen e çmimit të energjisë elektrike. Çfarë probleme sociale sjell në vendin tonë dhe çfarë masash mund të marrë qeveria?
Well, for any country where energy is available to the mass of the citizens, there has to be it has to be paid for. The bills have to be paid, whether businesses, whether private consumers, factories, whatever it is, government offices, everybody has to pay their bills. The government, I think, is correct in demanding that the bills be paid. The question is, of course, the price of electricity. I would say that the more diversity there is in the Albanian energy market, the more sources there are for Albanian energy, the more likely that there'll be competition and prices will come down. That's why I think it's not just electricity. An important fact, I think, in the future is going to be oil prices, gas prices, gasification in Albania in the coming years. I think all these factors, all these energies, I'm not even talking about alternative energies, will eventually bring down prices. The question is in the short term. I know it's very tough for consumers, very tough for customers, but ultimately, if this is to be a modern society based on the rule of law, everybody pays their bills. And I mean everybody, from the Prime Minister down to, the street cleaner. Everybody has to pay. So it's tough, and for some families, I think there has to be compensation. If some families simply cannot afford electric bills, there has to be some sort of state compensation, utility compensation that the state offers to the poorest segments of society. That happens anywhere in Europe, and it happens in the US. Please, who's next?
Good evening. I would like to know, what do you think of these new methods of leadership here in Albania? Are they a little bit communist? Aren't we supposed to live in a democratic country?
It's funny, you should listen to my commentary on communism. Communism isn't coming back. Some people may have a nostalgia, sort of mistaken nostalgia that the past was somehow better than it actually was. But I don't see any evidence that anybody wants to bring back communism. Remember, in communism, you didn't pay for electricity. In communism, everything apparently was free, even though there wasn't much of it about. This is now a competitive market economy where institutions matter, where you can vote out of office if you're dissatisfied with the government. You couldn't do that under communism. It's part of a global economy. Albania's plugging into the international system. Albania has to meet European standards. If it wants to be a member of the European Union, of Schengen, of eventually monetary union, it has to qualify, it has to meet those conditions, those standards that every country meets. So to talk about communism, I think the word is used too loosely. We should understand what we mean by communism, which was a system that I don't think anybody in Europe would want to repeat. And this is why I think you, the younger generation, I don't know what the educational system is like in terms of teaching about the past, but I think you need proper education about what communism actually was. Because for those that lived through it, it's no joke. And simply to say, we may return to communism could be quite frightening to some of the older people. I don't think there'll be any return. We have to always, though, stay on guard that the government, any government, doesn't introduce elements which break the law, or which somehow push back on the democratic process. Albania is in a process of consolidating its democracy and plugging into the world economy. And that's sometimes a very painful process, but there's no alternative. Thank you. Please, who's next?
Përshëndetje, qëmë Johan Rushitit, doja të bëja një pyetje lidhur me dhunën që shfaqin qytetarët ndaj kafshëve në rrugë. Edhe çfarë do të bëjë qeveria që të krijo legjislacionin e dur për t'i mbrojtur ato.
Yeah, although I'm not familiar with the situation of animals in Albania, presumably you mean dogs and cats, pets and so forth. I'm a big pet lover. In fact, I've just got a new dog in recent weeks, so I feel very strongly, very passionate about cruelty to animals. These are incredible creatures that give us a lot of companionship, friendship and loyalty. And I think the least we can do is not to abuse them, but to try and give back to them, give them a good life, give them a proper life. So I'm very much against any kind of abuse against animals. I'm not sure the legislation here in Albania. It's something actually, I'm glad you mentioned it. It's something I would like to look into for the future. But I'm a strong believer in protection of animals and animal rights. Well, that's a good note to finish on. Animal rights, something I should talk about in the future maybe, because I think any society that protects its animals, I think has a higher sort of moral standard, moral sense. Originally I'm from England, where, as you know, there's a strong Royal Society for Protection of Animals. If you abuse an animal in England, or you know, whether a cat or a dog or any other animal, you can go to prison. So well, animal rights, I think, are extremely important. Anyway, thank you very much all for coming. And unfortunately, we have already come to the end of the show. I've greatly enjoyed being with you and with all my colleagues here at Albanian Screen. I also like to wish you all happy holidays. Doesn't matter what religion you are or none. Good night, everyone. Stay healthy, be productive, and remain optimistic. And Happy New Year, and see you all very soon. Mirupafshim. Thank you.